Hello and welcome to BYJU'S Exam Prep IAS. Welcome to the discussion on the daily quiz for the 16th of May 2022. Before we begin, a small update on our Target Prelims 2022 series. Tomorrow, that is the 17th of May, join us live at 7:30 p.m. for the part 2 of the discussion on science and technology being presented to you by Rashesh sir. You can find the link to this video in the description box below. Beginning with the first question of the day. Which of the following statements is or are correct with respect to the place Lumbini in Nepal? There are three statements given here. First statement. According to Buddhist tradition, Queen Mahapajapati Gautami gave birth to Siddhartha Gautama or Buddha in Lumbini. Second statement reads, Ashoka had visited Lumbini and a pillar exists in Lumbini to commemorate the visit of the emperor. Statement 3 reads, Lumbini is proposed to be included in the list of UNESCO World Heritage Sites in the upcoming session of the World Heritage Committee. The options are as given below. Now, what is the context to this question? The Indian Prime Minister is scheduled to participate in the Shilanyas ceremony for the construction of the Center for Buddhist Culture and Heritage in Lumbini. This will mark the occasion of Vaishaka Buddha Purnima. Coming back to the question. Please note, as against what is stated in the question, it was not Queen Mahapajapati Gautami, but it was Queen Mahamaya Devi who gave birth to Siddhartha Gautama. Gautami was the foster mother of Buddha. The Maya Devi temple in Lumbini is built to honor the mother of Gautam Buddha, that is Mahamaya Devi. Statement 1 is wrong. Moving on to the second statement. Emperor Ashoka did visit Lumbini, and to commemorate this visit, a sandstone pillar was erected in Lumbini. This sandstone pillar has Pali inscription in Brahmi script. Lumbini inscription is also referred to as the Paderia inscription. This sandstone pillar is classified under the minor pillar edicts of Emperor Ashoka. Statement 2 is correct. Note that Lumbini houses many Buddhist viharas as well as Buddhist stupas. While viharas are monasteries, stupas are memorial shrines. Also, Lumbini is a very important Buddhist pilgrimage site. Given these aspects, it is very likely that Lumbini is already a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Note that Lumbini was declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1997 itself. So by this explanation, statement 3 is wrong. So we arrive at the answer C, 2 only. Moving on to the second question. Which of the following statements best describes the project 75I? Here I represents India. There are four statements given. Option A, the project envisages indigenous construction of diesel-electric class of submarines equipped with the state-of-the-art air-independent propulsion systems. Option B reads, the project envisages indigenous construction of nuclear-powered submarines. Option C, the project envisages the indigenous construction of 4 state-of-the-art stealth-guided missile destroyers. Option D, the project envisages the indigenous construction of 2 nuclear-powered aircraft carriers for the Indian Navy by 2030. Before we analyze this question, let's understand the context. These articles from the Indian Express express concern over the development wherein France's naval group, which was one of the 5 shortlisted original equipment manufacturers for the P75I project, announced that it would not bid for the project. This, the article says, is a point of concern for the Indian Navy because it will have to wait longer to have sufficient submarines. Now let's understand what is Project 75I. Please note, Project 75I is in itself a follow-up through the Project 75 of the Indian Navy. Both are part of the 30-year plan for the Indian Navy to induct submarines. Project 75 or P75 was aimed at the induction of 6 Scorpion-class submarines. These Scorpion-class submarines were designed by the French Naval Defense Company, while they were manufactured in India by the Mazgaon Dock Limited. Project 75I was a follow-through to the Project 75. Under Project 75I, India sought to induct 6 more diesel-electric attack submarines, but with AIP technology or air-independent propulsion technology. Along with AIP, the submarines under Project 75I will also have additional features like anti-ship warfare and anti-surface warfare. Now let's understand what are the advantages of the AIP technology or air independent propulsion. Note, as against the ordinary diesel electric submarines, which have to rise to the surface once in a while to induct oxygen for combustion in the diesel generator, the fuel cell based AIP submarines can stay much longer in the waters. That is, they have enhanced submergence endurance. This makes them very difficult to detect. As against the ordinary diesel electric submarines, which have to surface once in at least 2 to 3 days, the AAP based submarines can stay submerged for as long as 14 to 15 days. Now, coming back to the question. From our previous discussion, it becomes clear that the answer to this question is option A. Moving on to the third question of the day. Which of the following statements is or are correct with respect to the Chief Election Commissioner of India? There are four statements given. Let's look at them one by one. The first statement reads, he or she has a tenure of 6 years or up to the age of 65 years, whichever is earlier. The second statement, the CEC enjoys the same status and receives the salaries and perks as available to judges of the Supreme Court of India. The third statement reads, the CEC can be removed from office through a motion adopted by Parliament on grounds of proved misbehavior or incapacity. The fourth statement reads, the Constitution has explicit prescriptions regarding the qualifications for the appointment of a person as the Chief Election Commissioner. Please have a look at the options. Now, what is the context? Shri Rajiv Kumar has recently assumed charge as the 25th Chief Election Commissioner of India. Rajiv Kumar will be succeeding Sushil Chandra. Please note, Rajiv Kumar was already a part of the Election Commission of India. He was functioning as the Election Commissioner. Now he has been promoted as the Chief Election Commissioner. Shri Rajiv Kumar is a former Finance Secretary. Coming back to the question, the first statement is right. That is, the Chief Election Commissioner has a tenure of 6 years or he or she can serve up to the age of 65 years, whichever is earlier. This statement is correct. The second statement is also correct, wherein the statement says that the CEC enjoys the same status and receives salaries and perks as available to the judges of the Supreme Court of India. This has been explicitly mentioned in the Election Commission Conditions of Service of Election Commissioners and the Transaction of Business Act of 1991. So statement 2 is also correct. Moving on to the third statement. Note that the removal process of the CEC is similar to that of the Supreme Court judge. The CEC can be removed only by a special majority of two-thirds members present and voting, and it should be supported by more than 50% of the total strength of the House. The grounds for the removal of CEC are proved misbehavior or incapacity. Provisions related to these are mentioned in Article 324 of the Indian Constitution. Statement 3 is correct. Now coming to the fourth statement. Note, neither the Election Commission Act of 1991 nor constitutional provisions given in Article 324 prescribe any qualifications for a person to be appointed as the Chief Election Commissioner. So statement 4 is wrong. That leaves us with only option D. Moving on to the fourth question. Which among the following pairs of cup and associated sports are correctly matched? We have three pairs given here: Thomas Cup, badminton; Davis Cup, tennis; Ryder Cup, golf. What is the context? The Indian team for the first time ever has won the Thomas Cup. India bet Indonesia 3-0 in the finals. This is being hailed as a big win for India, and the Indian Prime Minister congratulated the Indian badminton for winning this tournament. Coming back to the question, note that just last year, that is in the UPSC Prelims 2021 paper, there were at least two questions related to sports. Though an aspirant might not be able to remember all sporting events and personalities, he or she should be at least aware of the important sporting events, especially in those where India has performed well. So in this context, we have prepared this question. Now let's understand each of these tournaments. Thomas Cup is the World Men's Team Championships for badminton. So this is correct. When it comes to women, we have something known as the Uber Cup in badminton. Davis Cup is the premier international team event in men's tennis. It is also referred to as the World Cup of Tennis. Ryder Cup is the men's golf competition between teams from the Europe and US. This is also correct. So the answer to this question would be option C. Moving on to the last question of the day. This is a question from the UPSC 2019 Prelims GS paper. The question reads, which of the following statements are correct about the deposits of methane hydrate? Three statements given. Global warming might trigger the release of methane gas from these deposits. Second statement, large deposits of methane hydrate are found in Arctic tundra and under the seafloor. The third statement reads, methane in atmosphere oxidizes to carbon dioxide after a decade or two. Please have a look at the options. Now, before we analyze this question, let's understand what we mean by methane hydrate. Methane hydrate is a solid caltrate compound wherein methane gets trapped within a crystal structure of water. Note that methane hydrate is formed when water and methane gas come into contact at high pressures and low temperatures. These favorable conditions are found in sedimentary deposits along the continental margins, deep water sediments of lakes and seas, sediments below the Arctic permafrost, as well as the Antarctic ice. So we can say that statement 2, which states that methane hydrate are found in Arctic tundra and under the seafloor, is correct. Observe, methane hydrate is stable only at low temperatures. They break down when the temperature increases. Global warming thus can trigger the release of methane gas from the methane hydrate deposit. Statement 1 is also correct. Note that methane is relatively short-lived. It gets oxidized into water and carbon dioxide within a short span of time, say a decade or two. Statement 3 is also right. So the correct answer would be option D, 1, 2 and 3. Moving on to the fact of the day, special drawing rights. This article from the Indian Express notes the revision of the values of currencies in the SDR basket. Now let's understand what we mean by SDR. SDRs are supplementary foreign exchange reserve assets maintained by the IMF, that is the International Monetary Fund. Please note, these SDRs are not a currency per se, but they are units of accounts for the IMF. Note that the SDR is only a potential claim on the freely usable currencies of IMF members. SDRs can be exchanged for these currencies. So the envisaged role for SDRs is they help supplement countries' official reserves. Note that India's foreign reserves also consist of SDRs or the special drawing rights. Initially, the SDR was defined in terms of gold valued in terms of US dollars. But currently, SDRs are defined as a basket of currencies. Now let us understand what is the criteria required to be classified as a currency under SDR. There are two criteria as specified by the IMF. These are the export criteria as well as the freely usable criteria. Based on these two criteria, currently we have 5 currencies in the SDR basket. What are they? They are the US dollar, euro, Chinese yuan, Japanese yen and the pound sterling. Please note, among these 5 currencies, dollar has the highest weightage. This is followed by the euro and the Chinese yuan. The SDR basket review is undertaken every 5 years, and in the most recent review, the weightage of the US dollar as well as the Chinese yuan increased, while that of the other three, that is the euro, Japanese yen and pound sterling, have decreased. That is all for today's discussion. Thank you for being with us.